God bless you. This is Pastor Carlos, and this is the Pastor Carlos Leadership Podcast. That's right. I know there's a lot out there, but my goal on this one is to share experiences with a Bible verse, practical advice, and a little bit of leadership in a very short amount of time so you could become a better leader step by step. That's right. Doesn't take a lot, but there's a great way to start. You ready? Let's do this. All right, today's leadership podcast is the first leadership podcast that we're sending out, and I'm praying it'll be a blessing to your life. Now, you know it's very challenging because I personally think there's so many great leadership podcasts out there that have just amazing information. Now, the reason I'm building this one is because sometimes we find ourselves short on time, and we need like small tips on how to get better in ministry, how to get better at business, how to get better as a dad, as a mom. And that's my goal. My goal is that in a very short amount of time, I always try to keep it to 10 minutes or less, at least once a month, I'm recording this to try to help you as a leader get better in a short period of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm always going to bring you a Bible verse, and then I'm going to bring you probably a quote from a great leader, and then I'm probably going to give you some practical advice. Now, if this podcast is a blessing to your life, you don't know how much it means to me when you're able to share it with somebody else, because every minute me or my team invest in this, our goal is that we're able to help somebody get better. All right, so let's start with today's lesson. Today's lesson is leadership is influence and inspiration. Leadership is influence and inspiration. You know, great leaders like John Maxwell and Rick Warren, they talk about how leadership is all about influence, and I couldn't agree more. So you're not a great leader if you don't have the ability to affect the behavior of the people that surround you. That's what influence is. So yes, leadership is influence, but I think it's also inspiration. You know, because you could be a good influence and you could be a bad influence. I think there's a lot of leaders in the past that we could talk about worldwide who did great things and had a lot of people follow them, but they weren't actually good, great things. They were bad, great things, right? The Holocaust, Hitler, right? So the question is, how do you become a good leader when you give good influence? And how do you do that? Inspiring them, you know, giving them that second wind of air. You know, Proverbs 27:17, I guess, gives the best example of what influence is. It says iron sharpens iron. So one iron causes an influence, an effect, or right, upon another item. So what type of influence do you cause? Like do you make another iron sharper? Do you make it duller? Because I could have a rock will have influence on an iron, but it may destroy it. So how do you influence the people that surround you, right? Well, let me give you 6 small tips on how I have tried to become a better leader, influencing and inspiring those that surround me. Here's number 1, right? Number 1 is it's got to be real to you. You can't help somebody else if what you're trying to help them with, you don't believe it yourself. It's got to be real for you. Another way to say it is you got to be an example. But when we say we got to be an example, it means like you got to model, but you can't model it fake. People have to see the realness in you. You got to be real about what you're passionate about. Don't try to teach somebody or influence somebody or lead somebody in something that you don't believe. You know, it's like a salesman trying to sell a product he doesn't believe in. That's the worst thing you could do. Do you believe in what you're leading on? If you're a leader of a ministry, do you believe in that ministry? Do you believe the why behind it, the importance behind it? Number 2, if you want to be of influence, learn to listen to the people that surround you. You need to learn to listen to them. There's many reasons. One reason you need to listen to them is because what they're hearing from you may not be what you're saying. So you may not be able to help them if you don't listen to them, how they feel, what they're thinking. Number 3, you need to be very positive. You cannot be a good influencer that's going to inspire people if you're not positive. You're always naysaying or nagging or talking negative about your surroundings or where you work or what you do or your ministry. That's not going to help you. You're actually giving them permission to do the same thing. Number 4, let people share their ideas. You say, well, Pastor, is that the same as listening? Well, it's kind of, but when you're listening, you just listen to them. When you're sharing your ideas and they're sharing theirs. Brainstorm, right? Number 5, learn to love the people around you. Man, if you can't love the people that surround you, you will never be a good leader. You know, people say, I'm the leader. No, you may be the manager, you may be the boss, but it doesn't mean you're leading them. Man, if you can't love the people that surround you, and love is about giving without receiving, right? Number 6, you need to know them. It's very important that you know the people that surround you. Know them personally, know their family, know their likes, know their hates, know their weaknesses, know their strength. Very, very, very important. Know their capabilities. Everybody is good at something, but they may not be good at what you're asking them to do or what you're trying to influence them on. But if you love them and you know their family, you'll be able to take care of them. And if you take care of them, man, you're going to cause such a great influence in them because you're always worried more about them than you are about yourself. That way, when they see your passion, when they see your listening, when you share your ideas, when you love on them, and when you know them, they're going to feel inspired to follow you, and you're going to make them a better leader. You are called by God to help the people that surround you. And I believe you could do that. And I'm praying that, like Rick Warren says, leadership is not about a title. It's about influencing the people that surround you. And I say influence them, but inspire them. Who do you need to inspire this week? Who do you need to go and lift up? Who do you need to encourage? Well, I'm trying to encourage you to go do it. I'm Pastor Carlos. This is the Pastor Carlos Leadership Podcast, and my goal is to make you a better leader step by step, hoping that every time, in a short period of time, you become a better leader. Remember, inspire somebody, lift them up, give them that second wind. Why? Because when you do that, you will be a better leader step by step. If this was a blessing to you, share this podcast. Let us know your comments. And thank you. May God bless you, brother, sister.